Hey, you guys, we're going to jump right in here on part two. Part two is regarding men opening doors, right? How to make a man open the door for you, ladies. How do you make a man become more chivalristic, right? How do you bring that out in him? How do you make him do that? First of all, you can't make a man do diddly squat, right? He has to have a willingness, right, to want to do it. A willingness to want to do it. In fact, I know this is going to throw some of you off, but I have to say it because I am who I am, as I am a woman in the industry, right? There is a portion in the industry when a woman signs up to become a cam model. There is a portion where it asks, what is her willingness? It literally says, what is her willingness? That means that what is it that she's willing to do in her shows? And what I like about a willingness is because it doesn't mean that it's written in stone that she has to do it, right? That the men are going to make her do it, even if they pay. But what is her willingness? Willingness is, so you just then the women will fill in their blanks. So for instance, my willingness, I have a willingness to get nude, not naked. There are two different things. I always say this. There's a difference between naked and nude. And I'm going to bring it back around to what does it have to do with chivalry. In fact, let me go here. Being that I am a woman in the industry, I can boldly say this, right? And the way I sit in the industry, most men are very much a gentleman towards me because I made it a point. This is probably the only place where Janae comes into the business. For you guys know, Janae is my government name and Jelena Nails is my stage name. So this is the only place where Janae goes in there with Jelena and we meet head to head, if you guys understand what I'm saying, where I don't separate the two. And I command, not demand. There's a difference. I command that men treat me with decency, even in the business. You have to treat me with decency because the way I sit in the business, you're not going to come over here, especially being that I'm a long nail goddess, long nail fat girl. So even certain acts, going back to willingness, there's certain acts that men may want me to do with my nails. Let your imagination go where it will. I'm not doing that. Why? Because I have a standard. Even with how I perform shows and what I do and what I don't do, even if I am nude, not naked. How's that tied all in there? Because again, putting emphasis on, as my grandmother taught me, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. When you carry yourself, ladies, in a certain fashion or manner, or even your mannerisms, right? Etiquette, all these things come into play. Men can draw from that and go, okay, I can't just treat her, that doesn't mean men won't test you. I've been tested and tried. And the only reason why I got caught up with the wrong men most times in my life is because I went below the standard. What was the standard? Opening the door. Now, a lot of y'all may be thinking this, well, just because a man opens the door don't mean he's a good guy. We're not talking about a good guy. I'm sure after he opens the door and we sit down at the dinner or the lunch or whatever, I'm sure I'll be able to read everything else that's going on with him. We're just small basics, bare minimum. Opening up the door. If you can't open up the door for me, then you're not my guy, because there's an issue. Or now I put you in a category, because then what you'll become, if you can't open up the door, then I don't even really want to be seen in public with you. If you get my drift. Then to me, and I'm woman enough to say this, then yeah, we may have a fun time in behind closed doors, but why would I want to be out in public with you anymore? Because I love being out in public. It's not about to show off to other people, but because if we're walking out and about and you can't open up the door, there's many things to it. Open up the door, walk on the other side of the road. If it was raining, you know what I'm saying? Put your coat down in a puddle. If the way it's been raining out here in California, hell yeah. Excuse me. All those things matter to who? To me. But more than anything, because what is it? 1 out of 3. More than anything is you opening up the door. But I found that the biggest issue that I found with men nowadays, and a lot of these men who have an issue with it are older men. I'm 48 years old. I haven't had not a near issue with a younger guy open up the door for me. I haven't had an issue of older gentlemen, men, just period out and about, opening up the door for me, no matter the race, right? But what happens is when us girls get up close and personal with these men regarding dating, that's the issue. That's why, to me, I'm like, why is it a problem in dating, but it's not a problem in general? Which leads me to believe that men would have to think, okay, like when the man told me, oh, you one of them. It's not really about opening up the door. That's just a symbolic measure, you guys. You get what I'm saying? Even for them. When a man wants you or thinks that you need the door open for you, he's going to be thinking that you're going to need to be spoiled. You're going to want fancy treatment. You're going to want extras to go along with it. You're going to start asking or expecting certain other acts of generosity and or kindness that he's not willing to do. But men often forget that it is the bare minimum. Bare minimum. And in my case, where I really messed up with men is that I didn't ask for much. I didn't ask for nothing at all. I mean, I was homeless. And if I had have been on the right path, and I'm just keeping it 100 with myself, of the picking and choosing of the right man, there's no way in the world for 6 years, or at least for 5 of those years, I would have been sleeping in my van if I had chose better. Because the choosing better would have been a man who had class, integrity, not just money, but a generous heart, right? A heart of compassion and empathy, right? If I had been thinking on that level. So all my standard was open the door. I'm not even asking for your money. I'm not even asking for anything extra. My biggest gripe dealing with certain men, certain BLK men, and I'm just telling you what my experience has been, is I've come to find out, because I'm coming to find out more about me. Let's go there. I come to find out that many men want the pretty girl. They want the girl to make them look good, to make them feel good, but they don't want to do what it takes to maintain her. Right? I remember years ago, and I don't necessarily mean physical. I remember years ago, I was dating this guy. I really, really, really liked him. I was in my early 20s, man. I'm like, man, when I think about it, like, daggone it, I really liked him. He liked me. And then one day he told me, he said, nah, I can't deal with you because you're just too high maintenance. And I always thought high maintenance meant, Coach bags. I'm not a label. What I'm going to say. I'm not one of them girls. I make my own crochet fashion. You guys see my little top I done made. I do my own nails. This wig is $20. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just ain't never been a high-end girl. I like what I like, right? I like what I like. It don't matter whose name is on it, whatever. I'm as I get older and getting more exposure and or experience with things, I am learning the value and quality that things that cost a little bit more do last a little bit longer, right? But in my mindset, I'll be thinking nothing really lasts forever, so I'm just gonna get what I like. You see what I'm saying? Especially when being a woman that creates her own thing in her own style in her own way, my attitude has always been, I'll just make it. Which to me, I feel like that adds wealth to my bucket. Anytime you can create your own, that adds wealth to your bucket. But anywho, so I say all that to say, so ladies, I'll come back and tell you, how do you begin to get the treatment? I think don't expect it from the man that you're dating. Start expecting it from strangers. I know that sounds strange, right? Like, what? Expect it from strangers. And you're listening to a woman who has dealt with strangers all of her life because of my testimony, right? Learning how to finesse, learning how to maneuver through life, because I dealt with strangers most of my life, right? So don't try to get the chivalry and the act from the men that you're dating. Get it from strangers to build that up. And I'll come back and tell you guys how I do it, how it has worked for me, be it subconsciously or even consciously. And once you get used to that treatment, ta-da, you can't go backwards. Anyways, bye for now, you guys. One love, kisses. You guys will hear me in part 3 on the how do you do it. Bye for now. Kisses.